I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. I didn't have the opportunity to tell you that the Pledge of Allegiance was led by Orlando Christian Prep student Jacob Burke, who is also a member of the Civil Air Patrol. President of the Foundation for California, and I am work with the Simon Wiesenthal Center, which I have done for the last 25 years. But before we begin, I'm going to ask Cantor Emma Levy, who will speak to us for us the 20 in the graces of God. Cantor Levy.
בגיא צל מוות לא יררו לא יררה כי אתה עמדי לא יררה כי אתה גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות לא יררה לא יררה כי אתה עמדי כי
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted that you're all here today. I'm especially delighted that the Foundation for California, in conjunction with the Simon Wiesenthal Center, is able to bring you the exhibit that you will see shortly. This exhibit was first opened on the 50th anniversary of the Anschluss, the date when Germany marched into Austria and reunited the two German-speaking countries, leading directly to the Second World War. The exhibit has been seen in every major capital of Europe and in Asia. I've had the privilege of taking it to Japan, where over 2.5 million people have seen it, to Beijing, to Shanghai, to Hong Kong, to Singapore, in India, to Delhi, to Bangalore, to Mumbai, and other places throughout Asia. It's been an extraordinary undertaking. It's being shown in Africa now, and it will continue to show the world. And wherever we take it, and sometimes
get hungry. Because if we don't understand what led and caused the Holocaust, if we don't understand why the Holocaust and its damage, we won't be able to control hate in the future, and that's what we're doing today. Education about hate and how to understand it and how to control it. This exhibit is sponsored by the Railway, who's been a generous funder, allowing us to take this up and down the state of Florida and around the nation and abroad. During the Second World War, the French National Railway's trains were used by the Nazis to deport 76,000 Jews to Auschwitz, of which only 3,000 returned. The French National Railway has been committed all these many years since the end of the Second World War to Holocaust education, and we are deeply grateful for this. Let me just say, I'm going to conclude quickly. I'm a college professor by training, for all you young gentlemen and ladies, and college professors tend to be very long-winded. We were typically used to speaking in 55-minute increments, followed by a test. Well, today there will be no test, and I promise you I won't go beyond another minute. But I wanted to say that next week is the beginning of the Jewish high holidays, the Jewish New Year, culminating 8 days later in Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish year. Starting off the new year right, it's important to remember the past so that we don't repeat that. And we are today seeing a repetition of events of the past occurring in Europe and around the globe. Anti-Semitism is a wave sweeping over Europe, the Middle East, and other places. And we begin to see levels of it that approximate those that took place prior to the war and the rise of Hitler's Germany. So this exhibit is more important than ever. I want you to all learn from it, please, to pass its lessons on to your friends and to others in your family, and to keep it in your heart so as you grow older, understand the nature of hate and how to combat it. If you stand up to hate, no one else will. We see today the persecution of Christians, terrible persecutions taking place in the Middle East and elsewhere, along with the persecution of Jews. We have a common interest, ladies and gentlemen, young ladies and gentlemen, in understanding the nature of hate. I've stopped before 55 minutes, so there'll be no test. It's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. David Janney, President of Orlando Christian Prep.
Well, it's quite an honor to be here today, and it's a great honor to us to have the Holocaust Museum here for the next 2 weeks. To all of our students of Orlando Christian Prep, I'm certainly glad you're here today. For many of you, it's very unfamiliar territory to you. For our other students from other schools who are here, the same. But I hope by the time these 2 weeks are over that you have a good understanding of what happened. This is one of the darkest marks in the history of the world of what happened to our Jewish brothers and sisters over in Germany. We are, and I'm glad we have the opportunity to be here today. To our young people and to all of our adults who are in here today, it is important. Hatred is like bitterness. It's a poison that destroys the vessel in which it's kept. And if you could learn anything through this, is that you never let hatred live in your life. People, every people group are important. This is just a great lesson on how we should one another. And I hope as we value life, thank you for being here today. To our honored guests who are here today, thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for taking the time to be here today. And the better we understand how to treat one another, the better our city will be. And this will be a great learning experience for you. Thank you for being here. We welcome you. We hope you have a wonderful day. God bless you.
We have a short video that was done here, I believe, by students. A 30-second video. Perhaps it should go even longer. We've gathered today to learn about. So without further ado, I'm going to ask for the video to be played, and then we'll go on with the program.
Remembering ties the past and the present together with a powerful, simple thread. This is not right.
The important thing is that one should not become indifferent to the suffering of others, that one should not stand by and just raise one's hands and say, there's nothing I can do, I'm just a little one person. Because I think what every one of us does matters.
It's not enough to curse the darkness of the past. Above all, we have to illuminate the future. And I think that on the day of remembrance, the most important thing is to remember the humanity that is in all of us, to leave the world better for our children and for posterity.
You know, it's really extraordinary because the students of Orlando Christian Prep made this video. Students, will you please stand? Come on, students, stand, please. Very good. Let's give them a round of applause. This is the beginning. You'll get many more rounds of applause throughout life, so enjoy it. It's my great pleasure now to introduce Pamela Kirowski, and I hope I pronounced her name properly, who is the principal of Orlando Christian Prep.
Thank you so much for coming today. This is an amazing event, and I'm just so excited to see all of our students here and the students from, I'm sorry, I'm going to forget now, Liberty Christian School. Thank you so much for coming. And I want to thank the dignitaries that have come. All of you are very special and honored guests today at Orlando Christian Prep, and we appreciate your time and your coming to visit with us today. I just want to say to the students, as others have said, my prayer today is that as a school, Orlando Christian Prep has a saying that we develop world changers. And I pray today that those of you that are here that are students will take this information and you will go out and change the world. And that you will help to never allow history in this little portion of history to repeat itself, but that you will make a difference. Thank you so much for coming.
We're really honored to have a number of civic and elected officials who have joined us today. A few of them are going to say some words about why they're here and the meaning of this day. We're very grateful that they could be here, and we're going to begin with Orlando City Commissioner Samuel Ings.
For some reason, I knew he was going to call my name first. But it's an honor and it's a privilege to be here to speak to you on today. And I am just so very happy to see so many of the young people here because our future is in your hands. And you should give yourselves a round of applause for that. You know, as I look at the time when we are remembering, and I see from 1933, and in 1933, my father was born. And he is about 81 years old today. His birthday is coming up in November. But just think, he was just a baby. And today, we're here remembering. We're remembering some atrocities that took place throughout our life and time. And then we're also witnessing and seeing some atrocities that are taking place in today's time. And it is about hatred, those that just don't like you because of the color of your skin, those that don't like you because of the content of your character, those that don't love you just because of the texture of your hair. Any little thing that's different about them, they don't like you. But we are here to stand strong and to stand firm, to make a difference in our society. And we have to continue to reach out in love and in peace so that we can enjoy the great things of life and what life has to give us. We have to contribute and be the best contributor we can towards all mankind. And you know, even as we look at some of our youth, the hatred from bullying that takes place, and then for someone to take their own life because someone has said something so drastic and mean and evil about them that they don't feel good about who they are. But we pray that they would reach down inside and overcome the things that are causing them pain, the things that are causing them problems. We have to learn to love one another. This Holocaust exhibit, The Courage to Remember. On behalf of the City of Orlando, I would like to thank the Foundation for California, Fred Bellinger, the Simon Wiesenthal Center, and the Orlando Christian Prep for bringing this important exhibit to Central Florida. I would also like to recognize the Chief of the Orlando Police Department, John Mina. Would you stand and be recognized? Some teach the importance of living in a moment. There is wisdom in teaching, although in the world we live in today, in order to live in that moment, we must have the courage to remember. Having the courage to remember allows leaders to stand in solidarity, speaking out in one voice against ideologies used to justify the Holocaust and sadly used to incite violence in today's society. To the victims of the Holocaust and to those who have suffered intolerance in our own day, we are here to tell you that you're not forgotten, your loved ones are not forgotten, and your suffering is not forgotten. As community leaders, it is our duty to state unequivocally that we will never condone or tolerate the ideals or idea that drove the Holocaust, nor will we stand for bigotry and violence in our communities today. My colleagues and I on the Orlando City Commission assure you that our commitment to work with all of you here today to get rid of the hatred that exists among us. Our presence here today is proof that rather than destroying our solidarity, acts of intolerance strengthen our resolve to stand together in unity, in strength, in love, and in peace, remembering all victims regardless of race, nationality, or religion. In closing, Simon Wiesenthal himself, a victim of Nazi genocide during the Second World War, which claimed 6 million Jews and 89 members of his own family, made two statements. One, freedom is not a gift from heaven. We must work to earn it every day. And two, hope lives when people remember. Today we remember and commit to work with all decent people to secure a collective future based on human dignity and freedom. For as Martin Luther King said, we shall overcome. Shalom, and God bless you.
It's now my pleasure to introduce Florida State Representative Ricardo Rangel.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I guess they didn't make the microphone for short people, so bear with me here. I would like to thank everyone for the opportunity to be here. This is a great, memorable moment. History is something that we need to get back into in our community. But this exhibition is going to be here in Central Florida. While this is an occasion that stirs many emotions, it's very important that we believe in the responsibilities of what we do today. You know, and one thing that I want to take the time, because we need to remember those who did sacrifice their lives, remember those who did lose their lives in this opportunity. So I ask you for a quick moment of silence so we can honor those folks. Thank you. Thank you very much. One thing that I heard today is very important. You guys are young. You guys are the future. You guys hold the power, more power than you believe. Power that you put together can beat any one of us that's up here that is elected, because you guys have the power of the vote. You guys have the power of change. And one of the most important things, the power of love. And one of the good things that I heard is I love the motto that we just said, world changers. That is exactly what you guys are, world changers. Because you guys have that power so that when you have families one day to pass down to your generation, to your children, to your children's children, and then all of a sudden we're going to be filled with a bunch of love in this community, in this life, and in this world. And I pray for each and one of you that you will be successful and that you guys will be able to do that in the future. Remember, you know, if you see somebody that's being bullied, you know, help them out. Talk with them. Have them feel comfortable, you know. One of the most important things is not many people gave me the opportunity. I made the joke in the beginning about being short. In life, I had many discriminations, many haters, many people, because even though that I was short in stature, I was always the best baseball player around. And I'm very proud of that. Even though I was very short in stature, I was one of the best when I served in the U.S. Army. That to me was an amazing feat because many people didn't give me an opportunity. They said, oh, Ricardo's too small. He can't do all the things that we can do. Till one day I had to carry a soldier who weighed about 250 pounds, about 6'4", on my back to help them get out of the way of some training exercises that we were doing. And it was my pleasure to be able to do so because people didn't believe that I could do it. And guess what? You have that power within yourself to do whatever you want. No one can tell you what you can and cannot do. You can tell yourself what you can and cannot do. And believe me, when you want something really bad, you will make it happen. Again, you know, I stand here before you, not only that I was serving the military, but I'm serving as a public servant. And one of my promises to you guys is that I will continue to serve my community, my country, and everyone here. So I thank you for this opportunity. Stay strong. Remember, fill yourselves with love and fill your friends with love. Thank you very much.
That was a great message, and I don't think anyone wants to tangle with him. It's now my pleasure to introduce Florida State Representative Jimmy Smith.
All right, I want to do something real quick. With the exception of the adults, every student that's in this category, stand up. Go ahead, stand up. Okay, keep quiet. Now the question is if you're taking away to a prison camp, who will remember you? Good question. First two rows only. Everybody else, sit down. First two rows, stay standing. Now look, there goes the rest of your family, the rest of your friends. Who's going to remember them? Second row, sit down. Who's going to remember? Who's going to be the voice? Who's going to speak up? From the blue on over, sit down. Obviously, they've already forgotten you. Truth is, if you think about who's on the stage right now, at one point, there were many survivors. At one point, there were many witnesses. If you think about the stories of the Holocaust, when we see the videos, we see groups of survivors. And it used to be that if you were in the military, you would find somebody overseas that could take you where the tragedies happened, where all this horrific things happened. Now, with the exception of the gentleman in the middle, everybody else sit down. Sit down. What do you do when he's the last one? Who remembers? How do you make sure everybody else that died like that, all your friends that you grew up with, now he's going to tell the story. He was there and he saw the tragedies. He saw it all. And the display that's here today is because at some point, sit down, at some point, every survivor will leave us. Every witness will leave us. And the same chance for that to happen over and over again will be in front of you. Every single one of you will live long enough, hopefully, to unfortunately see tragedy again. And you'll be faced with being that one individual if you don't learn to stand up now. If you don't learn to stand against hate. If you don't learn to remember from the past the tragedies. Because so many people right now are filled with hate around the world. And if they had the opportunity, they would do that all over again. There are people right now that want to wipe out an entire country's population because of their race, because of their religion. And the only way you ever prevent that from happening is when that last one goes, you remember. And you take it serious. Because all your friends will depend on your memory. While they're playing video games and they're out there doing silly stuff, take it serious. Remember it. When you're done from here, don't just walk by out there. Look at those pictures. Those are actual humans that had a story to tell. And that's what they're doing. They're telling you that story right now so that you do not have to live through the tragedies that they did. In the future, I pray that there is never an incident like that again, that the Holocaust never gets repeated. But you had Pol Pot. He killed millions. You had Stalin. He killed millions. And you right now have radicals throughout the world that are killing hundreds, soon to be thousands, and potentially millions. And if you dare forget this, it could be us. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to introduce Florida State Representative Victor M. Torres, Jr.
Good afternoon to everyone. You're not asleep, are you? All right. I'm going to give you a little bit of my background. I'm a retired cop from New York, 20 years and 29 days. And I met many victims of racial injustice, of punishment that they didn't deserve. And I look around and I see the young faces here today. And some of them were students in the schools of New York, in the streets that I met as being a patrolman and retired as a detective. I served in the Marine Corps from 1967 to 70. I was overseas, and I learned how third world country, how things happen over there, what we have and they don't have. And you have to remember that the Holocaust is no joke. This is something for you to remember. This is something that you take home. And like everybody here was talking about, the bullying in school, the punishment or calling names. Those are things that tragedies happen. The Courage to Remember, an important exhibit that emphasizes our past history of human tragedies that should have never occurred. Recently, I attended here in Orlando the Patriots' Day in remembrance of 9/11 and was reminded how we as a society must remain vigilant and alert at all times to ensure that atrocities as the Holocaust or 9/11 never occur again. I lost friends in 9/11. And to me, these were fellow officers who didn't think about their own safety. They thought about the folks they were trying to save, the firefighters that responded to safeguard the people. These officers here and officers out there, if you have a problem, don't hesitate. If you have a counselor you need to reach out to, please do so. You have a school board member here, Rick Roach. The idea is we need to stop the tragedies that are occurring every day with you, the younger students. We need to reach out. We need to make sure that they understand that there's somebody there to help them to straighten out their lives or ensure some kind of safety. I'm honored to be here in support of such an important event. I thank you very much, and I bless you and have a great day. Thank you.
Orange County Commissioner Pete Clark is here with us today, and if he would come up and say a few words, we're very grateful that he's here.
Don't take this wrong. I need to move this up a little bit. But, you know, sometimes when you go near the end, you have to change what you plan to say to not be repetitive. And you have heard a lot of very, very good words of wisdom and things to think about and to actually kind of lead your lives towards. Commissioner Rings, you know, just a lot of information, a lot of things to bring to the heart. And you know, I grew up in the Deep South, where you know some of you guys wouldn't be in this church, and I always knew that was wrong. And we need to make sure that we don't repeat those things. But what I want to do is tell you a story, and it's going to be kind of my story. And I did spend a lot of time here. Went to Boone High School. Don't hold that against me, but you know, my story was one of a father who was a sergeant in the Army. And 3 times we went across the ocean to Europe, twice to Germany, once to France. And you've heard Germany and France mentioned. It's a piece of this history that's outside in the lobby. My dad would get 30 days of leave every year, and we would camp across Europe. We'd get in our VW micro minibus, and we'd hit the road. And yeah, I've been to Rome. I've been 20 foot from the Pope in St. Peter's Basilica. I've been to the catacombs, the Colosseum. I've been to Switzerland, been to Austria, German castles, you name it, I've seen it. Holland, the gondolas in Venice, and just all over the place. But there's 2 places when I was your age, many of you, I was your age, that I saw and experienced that have stayed with me my entire life. One was a pillbox at the beach at Dunkirk in Normandy, and that's where the Nazis had their machine gun nests when we invaded, the beginning of the end of Hitler in Nazi Germany. And I was in that pillbox, and I looked out at the channel, and I just saw all those men who gave their lives to free the people we're talking about and to make sure that the tyranny was destroyed. And that's what it's about. We need to make sure that we always destroy tyranny. It doesn't necessarily have to mean war, but we can do it peacefully if we can. But you know, tyranny is just absolute hatred. It's just hatred that's not reined in. The second place, and this is the one that I want you to hopefully pay particular attention to, is we drove up into a parking lot, and we walked up a pathway, and there's these 2 gates. Sir, the first thing I saw was a very long brick building, not very pretty, just a long brick building with a big chimney on the top of it. And that was the crematorium at Dachau concentration camp. My dad took me to a concentration camp. This is very near Munich, Germany. You walk, you see, just, I mean, it's just absolutely, even as a child like me, it was just the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. Just stark. And it was a great day. I mean, it could have been more perfect. To really illustrate what I was seeing is a crematorium where these individuals were burned. There was places where they were hung. There were places where they were executed with gas. There was a ditch along the wall, and the sign said blood ditch. And this is where there were walls and berms where they would actually take people out, and they'd use it for marksmanship practice. And this is the evil that exists. And always remember that somewhere, someplace, somebody is that evil. And you know, like I say, is being last, I'm making this up as I go, but I just want to get my point across is that you are the ones that will combat it next. You know, some of us served. You know, we tried to do what we could do. Some of you may serve, but always remember that evil exists. Do everything you can to combat it, whether it is bullying, whether it is somebody you're seeing that's being mistreated. But always respect each other. And I will leave you with a personal comments. You know, I'm standing up here as an elected official. Nobody gave me a chance. Never let anybody tell you you can't do something. You can do it if you put your mind to it and if it's the right thing to do. And second, I just heard something the other day that I've committed to memory. When we get to my age, things kind of, you know, go in and out. But when you're thinking about something, just remember the smallest deed you do far outshadows the greatest intention. So do that deed. Don't think about it. If it's the right deed to do, make it overshadow any intention you might have to do something, and you'll be better off for it, and we will all be better off for it. And I know, looking out here with these faces, that that's exactly what you will do. So thank you for having me.
Rick Roach is with us today. He's from Orange County Public Schools Board Member, District Number 3. Rick?
It was certainly my honor to be asked to come here today. I was quite surprised, but I was honored to do so and put some thoughts together. But first of all, what I'd like to do is I'd like to honor, are there teachers in the room? Teachers and counselors, where are you? Would you stand, please? There you are. You know a school board member can't stand here and not single out the teachers, the profession that teaches all other professions right there. So I will tell you that when I do a talk like this, I normally wait till the last minute. I think about it sometimes in the car, maybe in the middle of the night, but I try to find some quotes. I have a book that I write down. I write down all my favorite quotes in my personal book. I just rewrite them, and then I try to connect those quotes that are appropriate to my life somehow, and that brings meaning to them. And so I'm going to share some of those with you, and tell you that first of all, and on behalf of my fellow school board members, 8 of us, and the superintendent, Dr. Jenkins, and 190,000 of your peers who all go to school in the public schools here in Orange County, we bring you welcome today. And I think what I'd like to talk about today, and boy, I've really appreciated all my colleagues up here and their kind words, is the intent versus the deed. I like Commissioner Clark's words. He kind of leads my series of situations here. And I think for me, standing up for people and doing the right thing is easier said than done. Let's face it, it's easier said than done. We can usually pick out a wrong deed, wrongdoing, but the confidence to do something about it, I think, is really takes a lot of courage. And this particular first one says, confident thoughts without courageous action are just mist in the wind. And I will tell you, and I'll confess to you, there have been times in my life, as I look back at my life, when I should have stood up and I didn't. I didn't do it. In high school, I can remember it. Even sometimes as a young man, I didn't do it. And I will tell you that because standing up is risky. There are risks that go along with that. But what I've learned in my later years is the risks are far greater when you don't do something. The risks are far greater. And as I look back at my memory bank, do you know I still remember the exact 2 or 3 things that happened to me that I witnessed and didn't do anything about it. To this day, I remember that. And that would be over 40 years ago or more. And that's the risk that are greater when you don't do something. When I did do something, it's like a soul cleansing. It moves on, you feel better, and I think you get stronger. So if there's any benefit to taking a risk and doing something uncomfortable, that's it. You don't want to be my age and still look back and say, I should have stood up. Why didn't I speak up? Why didn't I do that? And I think to the adults in the room, and those of us who are in institutions of crime prevention and schooling, I think we've got to be able to put the supports in place to make it easier for kids and safer to kids to stand up for kids. Because as a public school official, believe me, I hear a lot about kids who get bullied from parents. And sometimes I want to make sure that a child has the safety to come forward and say, I saw this, it's wrong, and not feel like they're going to get punished themselves for doing that. And I think it's important that we put those positions, those supports in place to do that. I think that there's two ways to look at this. I used to be a guidance counselor, a school counselor at Boone High School and Colonial High School and Walker Junior High years ago, witnessing lots of bullying kinds of incidents. And there were really two places for kids to go who were bullies. And I tried to be the first stop. And this particular quote says, punishments hurt from the outside in. That was the dean and the assistant principal. If you were a bully and you went to the dean and the assistant principal, it was punishment from the outside in. In other words, there was a punishment involved. It was either a detention, it was in the old days, it was a paddling, for goodness sakes. I was actually a teacher when we had paddles. We could hear the swat, 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 and all kinds of stuff going on over there. But the problem with punishments, and the only problem with punishments, is sometimes they're not long-lasting because they don't hit from the inside out. And when I talk to kids, I tried to address it from the inside out. I said, put yourself in that position. You're a big football player here. Two of you, matter of fact. Two senior football players at this high school, and every time this little tiny freshman comes down the hall, he shakes in fear of you. I said, it should be the opposite. They should be looking up to you. You should be reaching out to that kid who was here. You were here 3 years ago and felt the same kind of fear in a large school like this. And that's the way I really try to handle it. I feel if you hit it from the inside out, you've got a long-term change and a long-term benefit. The last thing I wanted to say to you really is I think that when it really comes down to it, it just comes down to doing the right thing. And everybody's value system sometimes is just a little bit different. But this last quote, I think, kind of sums it up for me, and that is, values come down to what's right and what's wrong. And when we are intolerant of people who are different than you are, you're wrong. When we're intolerant of people who are different from us, we're wrong. And I don't care how many hallelujahs you say, you're still wrong. So let's keep that in mind, and what a wonderful day, and let's learn from history. History is our best teacher. And boy, today you've had several shots from a lot of very respectful people here in town, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. Thanks for having me.
If you watch the media too much, very often the media focuses on elected officials, public servants who they don't treat very well. They like to show their corruption, their this, their that. But the fact of the matter is, you've seen today public servants. We are all servants. And you have seen today public servants who are thoughtful, who are educated, and who are dedicated. And it really is a pleasure for me to be here with these people who are serving the community, and hopefully, regardless of political party, they will continue to serve the community. Thank you so very much. Before I introduce our last speaker, who is a Holocaust survivor, we never do a program without having one of the survivors of the concentration camps with us, and this is a very special man. I'm just going to introduce a number of VIPs who have joined us today, and after Cantor Levy finishes speaking, I'm going to ask all those I've introduced, plus those on the stage, to join me here for the ribbon cutting, after which the exhibit will be open. I'm delighted that we have Orlando City Commissioner of District Number 2, Tony Ortiz, with us. Tony, where are you? Okay. I'm going to run through this list because it's a very long list and time is escaping us.
Barry Cotton, who's with the Office of Congressman John Mica. Susanna Randolph, Office of Congressman Alan Grayson. Please hold your applause till the end, and we'll give everyone a round of applause. The Reverend Canon Tim Nunez from the Episcopal Diocese of Central Florida. Mr. Tavares McCurdy, Office of Florida State Senator Geraldine Thompson. Cecilia Cruz, Office of Florida State Senator Darren Soto. John Bilby, Office of Florida State Senator David Simmons. Kat Kennedy, Office of Orange County Commissioner S. Scott Boyd. Kathy Gilland, Office of Florida State Representative Mike Cleveland. Sydney Tissio, I hope I've got that right. Office of Florida State Representative Jason Brodier. Rebecca McLaughlin, Office of Office of Florida State Representative Eric Eisnago. Thank you. Forgive me for I'm terrible at names, and I'm struggling my best. Orange County Clerk of Courts Eddie Fernandez. Lieutenant Mary Huggins, Orange County Sheriff's Department. Orlando Police Chief John Mina. John, please. He has brought with him a number of his assistant chiefs and others in the force. I'm not going to introduce you all, but I'm going to ask you all to stand for a round of applause after I finish everyone's name, please. My job is to keep the train running on time today. Castleberry City Commissioner Sandy Solomon, representative of the Central Florida Navy League, and representatives of the Jewish War Veterans of Orlando, Post 475. Now, will everyone whose names I've mentioned or those attending as dignitaries please stand, and let's give them a great round of applause. We know how busy your lives are and the important work you're doing, and therefore we're very grateful that you can be here today. Our last speaker is Cantor Emma Levy. Young people, when you go out of this room, remember that the one thing that separates the Holocaust from all other human tragedies was that there was an attempt by a government to eradicate an entire people from the face of the earth. That makes the Holocaust a singular event. There are others who would like to do that today, but that was the attempt back in the 1930s. Cantor Levy went through that terrible period. You should also know, as we fight terrorism today, that in the handbook of the terrorists, one of the first lessons is Holocaust denial. To deny that the Holocaust took place is to undermine not only the legitimacy of the state of Israel, modern Israel, but also to say that this is a fairy tale and that these lands have always been ours. Cantor Levy, after the Holocaust, lived in Israel for many years before coming to Florida. He served Israel well. He was sent back into Germany as a rabbi almost immediately after the war. Not a good time for a Jew to go to Germany. And he's had an extraordinary life, but he has messages today. I'm going to tell you something he doesn't want me to tell you. He's in his early 90s. And he has a message to deliver today, which I think is very important for us all to hear. When he finishes, we will cut the ribbon and open the exhibit. Cantor Levy.
Ribono shel olam, Master of the universe, look down at this room. I'm trying to see this picture, what I see today, for 75 years. I was there from 33 to 45. This picture, what I see today, the day when I was liberated, I didn't know how many from my family are alive, where they are, but I know that around me there were real dead bodies. Real dead bodies. I looked up after 4.5 years of pain and thinking. The only one thing I knew, that it's Sunday noontime, and I heard from far away the church bells ringing. That's, I knew it's a big gun. And I said to myself, I looked up, I said, Almighty God, I'm thankful for you, for helping me, for making me a survivor. I promise you, I'm going to devote my life for your children. My dear God, what I promise you in a very, very miniature picture is here. Take a look. Police force sitting together, no demonstrations, no hitting, no killing, God forbidden. Young generation here, older generation together in one spirit. That's what we want. I was born in Czechoslovakia into hatred. From the day that I remember, and the villages, especially the village I grew up, everybody knew anybody else. Christian children hit me. I came to my father, I said, why are they hitting me? I didn't do nothing for them. I just went from here to Cheder, to the school, to Hebrew school, to Bible school. My father said, this is your portion, my son. You have to suffer. Each hit, each wound what you are getting is just a sign that Messiah will come. They just remind you that you are Jewish. They remind you. And being in concentration camp, the worst thing can be to think about food, because you knew there's no way to get the food. So you try to occupy yourself, and I try to find my peace with the Almighty God. And I came to a conclusion what I am doing right now. Since the day I was liberated, and no land in Europe wanted to accept me to be there. No, we have no room, we have no place for you. We know you suffered, but with no room. The dream was, as a child, I grew up, or to go to the promised land, or to go to the land with promises. Means or to go to America, or to Israel. And then we heard in the concentration camp that it's not so easy to get to America. So Yankele Levi, my Hebrew name, decided I am going to build my own home. I am going to do what we didn't do for over 2,000 years and build my own homeland. Came into the desert and again forced to use your force to protect yourself. I grew up in Israel. I served my army 30 years. And then I finally get to the land of promises, here to America. So first of all, from my whole heart, and I thank for all the important dignitaries here who mentioned this. I thank for the youngsters who are here. I know that you voluntarily, I'm not so sure that you would be here, but your teachers told you it would be good for you. But I hope you are going out from here, and that's my prayer. If I succeed only with one of you, my dears, to teach you that first name of the Almighty God is love. Put in your heart love. We are all his children. We are all his children. We are one big family. We have to care for each other. And we should accept life with love. We should accept everything with a smile, with a thank you, with helping each other. You will see how we change the world. And thank you for coming here, that I think that at least one of you will walk out when you will say, I am going to be God's policeman. I'm going to make this world better. You go out, you will see an older person carries a package or has a problem. You will ask him. You will not look away. I don't see you. I don't know who you are. Care. Care. We are all his children. And the day that we will be united, definitely united, is when God will look down and will say, yes, they love each other. They are together. Nothing can separate us. I have all respect. And first of all, to tell you that Jesus Christ was the first Talmudic scholar who said, "Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha," love your neighbor like you are, like yourself. And why he said that? So he said, like your neighbor, because he is like yourself. He was born, he was created by God in his image. We are all together in his image. And then we learned it. And this should be on your flag. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I'm sorry, but my name, the commissioner, thank you very much for the wonderful words. After 75 years, I am here to make a little revolution with it, including all the dignitaries, and by the way, the president has to go, but the principal is here, and thank you very much for housing this thing. It's very important, but I want to tell you one thing. When I was in love, it was in the time when I was in the army, I used to send my girlfriend a letter, I send you 1,000,000 kisses. 1,000,000 kisses means unlimited. Now, I bring to you 6 million thank yous, my dear. 6 million people who were killed in all ways of killing. You can imagine how they kill the people. 6 million are sending you thank you, not that you are remembering them, but you learn something. We don't want to hear anymore. Will not never happen. We will not let it happen. No, let's turn the ball around. We are here to make this world better. Not that we should stay against somebody who wants to kill us. Take a look what's going on in the world. We are in trouble. Let's pray together. The Islam, they have that theory. Unfortunately, they sanctify their death. They want to die. And by this they want to die, they are killing people, innocent people. And you are getting so shocked when you see this murdering on the television. Last night, I was thinking, I said, my God, take a look, the whole world is now anti-ISIS. And they saw one execution, one barbaric murdering. I saw thousands. So let's stop it. But we will not stop it, not with arms, not with atom bombs. We will stop it with love. My father raised me and said, for a war, you need two people. If one of your friends comes and hits you and you don't hit him back, there's no war. And this should be the light in our life. I'm limited with my time. I just want to mention one more thing, what's on my heart. And the commissioner mentioned him, Reverend Martin Luther King is in my eyes, in my heart. Not a great man, for years, and especially here, the students of this wonderful institution knows that we used to have prophets. Martin Luther King is a contemporary prophet who saw, I have a dream where people will live together, where people will not separate us by color and nothing else, where people will get together and build a better tomorrow. That's I pray to the Almighty God, and let's all applaud the hope that tomorrow will be great.
We cannot afford to forget those incidents. As horrible as they were, we cannot afford to forget because history makes us better. But more so, we have to learn that God has been with us in every step of the way, and we have to make of our life, and life is an exercise, and we have to, every day, we have to exercise cautious. And the decisions we make, they're always going to have repercussions. This reminds us of that. We need to continue teaching our kids that hate comes from anger. Anger comes from ignorance. When we don't know about something, we get angry. And we do things that leave scars on some of us. So we need to continue teaching our kids. And the best message is what we do for ourselves, and this is not even mine, this is from Albert Pine. What we do for ourselves, die with us. But what we do for others and the world is and will remain immortal.
Well, I really enjoyed it, and it touched my heart, and I'm so glad that I was able to be a part of this today. The speeches were wonderful, and it just really touched my heart, and I hope that the young people will remember that, because we need to remember the history so it doesn't repeat.
Commissioner Samuel B. Ings, City of Orlando, District 6, and obviously this was a great moment in our time. And especially a time to remember. And it was so good seeing all of the young people here from the school because they need to know the story. And then, of course, you know, at the time of bullying and all of those kinds of things where hatred is so prevalent in our society today, it is all about love, peace, and joy. And that's what we have to really strive for, to make a difference in our community and in the world.
Like in my comments when I was young and went to Dachau and saw where it occurred, you know, just left an imprint on me. And so when the opportunity came to be here, I was, you know, I would have moved mountains to make sure that I could make it, because it's important that you know, especially the young kids know, the young people know what happened. And even if they don't understand why it happened, the fact that it did happen and it could happen again, to let them know to fight evil, however they fight it, at whatever level they fight, if it's bullying in school or they see their friends in trouble, be there to help them. And when you help folks, you know, you can build kind of a coalition against evil, and I think that's what we need to do, and, you know, absolve ourselves of hate and, you know, just take everybody for what they are. And, you know, we know it's out there, but how do you combat it? You combat it by a lot of like-minded folks who want it to go away. So I was just very honored to be here today and to meet the gentleman, the survivor, you know. Yeah, I never thought I'd meet one.
Oh, I thought it was a fantastic event, and I think they should have this event in other places, even in the Orlando area. Orlando is sort of the big gorilla in the area, but you have Seminole County, the other counties, and I think it was an outstanding event, and it's important for the kids growing up to recognize that history is important, and to hear a Holocaust survivor tell it the way it was and the way it should be is absolutely outstanding. Outstanding job.
It was truly inspiring. You know, I stepped in a little late, but afterwards, you know, you definitely feel the deep remorse in the room and everyone's deep appreciation for the past and what's happened and how everyone wants to be the light of the future and never be a part of something like that again. And so it was definitely inspiring, definitely hit home, and there was a lot of waterworks for sure.
I thought it was fabulous. I was so impressed with Emil and his words, and to look so good at 91 years old. I just hope I look that good. But his words were so powerful, and I loved his a million kisses and a 6 million thank yous. I broke up at that point. That was great, but it was a very nice touch, and I appreciate the politicians keeping it short. I'm worried about that, but having the kids here and the adults in the mix was perfect. Yeah.
Hi, this is Representative Torres. I'm very excited today. It was an honor being here and participating with the other elected and dignitaries. It's a message that we need to send out to all the communities to make sure that abuse and hatred and bullying stop, and that we all treat each other equally, because we all live together and we all have to work together. And that's my
My
message.
name is David Quintana, originally from Venezuela, and I'm very privileged to be here in this Holocaust exhibit. We need to remember this and never forget what happened in history so that way it doesn't repeat itself. And as a Christian, I support Israel, and I will stand by them.
My name is Carlos Quintana. I'm pastor of Orlando Baptist Church Spanish Ministry, and also I'm be glad to be here and participate with this museum that bring history alive, that we can remember the Holocaust and never repeat it. God bless you.
Okay, my name is Jolima Estrada, and I'm really glad to be here and hear this and remember what happened with the Jews, to be stand, to bless them and to be stand and support them in everything. Then God bless.
Jacqueline Clark. Oh God. Hi, Julian. And what do I want to say about the exhibit? I'm glad that they have it at OCP. I think it's a really great exhibit for our kids to see how important it is to remember your past, so that you don't, so it doesn't occur again in the future.